We are pleased to be joined by a guy that I'm going to expect is going to give me some grief. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred, who I can tell is already impressed with my nice haircut, fresh haircut.
No, I was kind of caught on the shirt and tie combination. But good for you. You got a tie on. I mean, you know what? You can't have everything. I never said a good tie. I said a tie.
There you go. There you go.
So since we've got to know you so well through the years, we knew you were going to come loaded.
Yeah.
So I prepared something. The guys in the truck prepared Greg's look because he had a feeling this is what you were going to come at him with. He had the long hair. He knew the ratings were up. And so he had the hair. And he said, Commissioner's coming to the World Series.
Got to clean it up.
Got to clean it up.
You know, I
give us your
saw
assessment.
I saw you obviously on TV during that period. And, you know, there's a strange resemblance between you and Eddie Munster when you, you know.
A lot of kids probably at home had to Google Eddie Munster. They probably agree with you after that. They would also agree, Mr. Commissioner. And I love both styles, but anyway. This is really, truly a World Series. Look where we are. You got Shohei Ohtani and Yamamoto pitching in this game.
Yep.
This game is global at a level we've never seen before.
Yeah, you know, we're blessed. Another great matchup in the World Series. And it does emphasize the international flavor of the game, the players from so many different countries. But, you know, the idea of being back in Canada, it's a great thing for our game.
Has the WBC helped take it more global as well?
Yeah, 100%. You know, it's interesting. When we were in Japan for the opener, the Japanese commissioner's office really forthcoming about the idea that the WBC, having more Japanese players playing in the big leagues, has actually helped their business in Japan. It attracts better athletes to the game. Their domestic game is stronger. And that's what growth is about at the end of the day.
3 straight years attendance has gone up. Do you see that continuing to go trending upwards?
Yeah, I hope so. I really do hope so. I think the game we're putting on the field is a better game as a result of the changes we made the last few years. But, you know, it's not all the rule changes. I think the other thing that's really important to focus on is we have been blessed with really generational talent entering the game. It seems like every year we got a new crop, young guys that are making an immediate impact. You know, guys who have, 6 major league starts pitching the first game of the World Series. Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah.
Yes.
And it's why there's so many great stories. You were really adamant on getting a good media deal this last go around. Were you happy with the end result?
I'm thrilled with the way it all shook out. I think start by saying important that ESPN stay involved with the game. Really glad it worked out. But I think having NBC, having network exposure for Sunday Night Baseball is a real plus for us. You know, being part of that year-round Sunday night programming on NBC, I think going to be really good for the game. And, you know, bringing in, you know, really a huge presence in the media space, Netflix for, you know, some of our eventized games. It was a nice mix for us all the way around.
You know, we hear a lot about the rule change, and we're constantly talking about the effect it's had on the sport. There's been no doubt about it. The other thing is the community involvement and enriching so many former players. So I want to ask you about the CAP program. And I see all these guys running around the field all the time, CC, Michael Bourne, you name it, on and on. How important has that program been?
Look, I think it's huge. I think, you know, one of the things it does, it gives us a more natural bridge to the current players. I mean, all the guys that are involved with CAP fairly recently off the field, they know a lot of the guys still. And, you know, it does. I was giving Cece a hard time. You know, they were up early this morning doing a play ball event for us. And, you know, when you do a play ball event with great volunteers, it's a good event. Yeah. But when you do a play ball event where you got, you know, Justin Upton and CC Sabathia, it's a really good event, you know, and that's important for us.
The ABS Challenge will debut a year from now in the World Series. That will be a historic advancement in the game. To witness that, I have to believe that this was something that was a long time coming, working on all the data. How long did it take to really put this package together?
Well, honestly, this started right around 2000 when Sandy Alderson was in the commissioner's office. It began with the effort to have a system that we could use to evaluate and train umpires. And we've been working on that technology literally for the whole time since there. And the technology is awesome. I mean, the accuracy of the technology is absolutely unbelievable. And, I do think that we struck the right balance with a lot of helpful input from players that, we don't need every ball and strike to be perfect. We do need to have an opportunity to correct a miss in a high leverage situation. And I think it's a nice balance that we struck.
Getting a chance to walk around this ballpark the last couple of days, Rob, there seems to be more younger and younger people coming back to Major League Baseball than ever.
Yeah, there's a lot of things. Some of the things we've hit on already. I do think that the athleticism in the game, the rule change. Everybody talks about time with the rule changes. I think athleticism is really important. Number two, I think that the clubs in the ballparks have done a really good job of offering particularly younger people entertainment alternatives.
100% agree. This ballpark a great example.
Yeah, a really, really great example of it. And then the last one, I'll tell you, look, you know it. I know it from my kids, but technology is such an important part of their lives. And when you do things like ABS, it's of great interest to them. I mean, it's just closer to the way they live their lives, and I think it's important.
You've been to a lot of World Series now. How loud was that last night?
Can I tell you something? I a little bump for one of our partners, but I had my Apple Watch on. I kept getting the noise warning that it was there. Yeah.
That loud.
That will do that.
Seismic.
Being in this country and seeing Blue Jay logos everywhere and the passion. And I love watching local television when I'm in a hotel room just to see how it works. It's all they're talking about. I know you've discussed expansion down the road and the idea of having a second team in Canada. Does this experience make you think that should become more of a reality?
Yeah, it's interesting. I spent some time in Western Canada on vacation this summer, and I was really struck by the number of Blue Jay hats, jerseys, and, hats off to Mark Shapiro and Edward Rogers for the job they've done, making Toronto Canada's team. And it shows up in the viewership numbers that we're seeing in Canada. Really unbelievable. So, I think that Canada's fertile ground for baseball. I really do.
The one thing that struck me here was, I'm sure you've been underneath to the clubhouse.
I have.
This facility is incredible. But that's what's happening in baseball with all 30 clubs. Do you see a competition, and how important is that for players as these clubs are making the accommodations so great?
It's interesting. Even the wave of building that we had in the mid-'90s, all those buildings are up for renovation. Yeah. And when you see
Camden Yard.
Right, and when you see what clubs do when they go in to renovate, it is shocking how, improved the weight rooms, the amenities, the clubhouses themselves are. And this one is a real showcase. It's a real showcase.
I put a tie on. I got my hair cut just for this interview. So hopefully it went well.
You look great.
Okay, great. I'm glad you enjoyed yourself.
That, okay.
All right. Baseball Commissioner Rob Manfred with us. Thank you so much. That was loads of fun.
Yeah. Thank you, guys.